Here's a GRE probability question. Let's take a look. A six-sided die is rolled 3 times. What is the probability that the sum of the rolls will be greater than or equal to 5? So it's helpful when dealing with probability questions to start with a baseline of how do you express probability? Well, very generally, it's the number of desired outcomes divided by the number of possible outcomes. So that's our kind of framework for working through this. The number of desired outcomes divided by the number of possible outcomes. Let's start with the number of possible outcomes. If I roll a die 3 times, how many possible outcomes are there? Well, think of this as a sequence of events. There are 6 possible outcomes on the first roll, and then 6 sub-outcomes on the second roll, so that's 36 total, and then another 6 on the third one. If you multiply 36 by 6, that gives us 216. So just in terms of all the different outcomes I could have, you could represent this with a tree, right? This is getting a little too intense, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the first roll, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the second one, and then each one of these is going to have 6 sub rolls, right? There are 216 possible outcomes. Now, I want the number of desired outcomes. And what is a desired outcome in this case? Well, it's where the sum of the 3 rolls is greater than or equal to 5. Now, I could figure this out, right? I could figure out all the different ways that I could get 5, all the different ways I could get 6, all the different ways I could get 7, but there are a lot of ways, and I'm going to be doing a lot of counting. Instead, let's consider all the ways that this couldn't happen. In other words, the negative case. How many ways are there to get, if I'm rolling three dice, if I'm rolling or one die 3 times, how many ways are there to get a sum that is less than 5? Well, let's think about them. They're not that many. I could get a 1 on the first one, a 1 on the second one, a 1 on the third, right? So that adds up to 3. And there's only one way that could happen. I could get a 1, 1, 2, so that adds up to 4. I could get a 1, 2, 1, so that adds up to 4. And I could get a 2, 1, 1, so that adds up to 4. So basically, there are 4 ways not to make this happen, right? There are 4 ways not to make this happen. And that means that there are 212 ways to make this happen because every other roll will satisfy this. And I'll pause right here and say, try to come up with another way to make a roll less than 5. You can't do it, right? Because there's only one way to get 3, and there are these 3 ways to get 4. You can't roll a 0 on a die. So this is it. So the answer is 212 over 216. And if I simplify that down, what do I get? I get 53 divided by 54. For more GRE tips and tricks, or to sign up for my online course, follow the link on my profile.